Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means, the other one's just along for the ride. Tyler, are the Dodgers bad for baseball?
Yes and no. Yeah. Complicated.
Yeah, there's a few layers to that, right? I've actually been listening to podcasts about baseball this week, kind of to prepare for today. You got Vitello to the Giants, pretty much guaranteed happening, which opens a whole nother point of conversation. You have the Dodgers sweeping the Brewers to make the World Series again, and is it bad for baseball? What does 2027 look like? Is a salary cap bad? I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And then we have the Colorado Rockies, who just take up way too much bandwidth of our brains with their front office hires. We don't know if they're hiring a president of baseball operations type player guy or a GM. You mentioned something about it having to be kind of a step up for somebody to come in. We're going to get all that later, but just the Dodgers. The Dodgers are whatever baseball is. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can go about it. I just know that I don't like the Dodgers. I love the players on the Dodgers. I just don't like the Dodgers as a whole.
Yeah, and I mean that is what it boils down to a lot there. That's why I've got to say, like, I know I have a little bit of bias against them. I will also say, we don't want to dive too. I think at some point this offseason we'll probably talk more about this. I think the Dodgers are going to be a scapegoat to try and get a salary cap. I think a salary cap would be very bad for baseball because that would basically just be saying, screw you players. Like, we're going to limit how much money you can make. I like the current system where you can pay a guy $800 million. Like, that is a baseball specialty, and I love that. But you've got to make it so teams don't want to spend that kind of money. The luxury tax stuff that's in place right now feels like a slap in the face, but not like you really can't do that anymore. Like, the Dodgers haven't picked in the first round, I think, for the last 2 years. Their farm system's still top 5 in baseball. Like, the current system in place doesn't police their spending enough. There's things that can be done outside the salary cap, and we can't do a salary cap. That would be terrible. And it wouldn't help the Rockies. If that's sort of your stance, it's not going to help the Rockies at all. Like, that's not the problem.
Not at all. And I don't even know if a floor helps either. Because with the cap, you have to have a floor, I think. I don't think you have the floor without the cap. And I don't even know if a floor helps at a certain point, because then you're just overpaying low-level players and stop gapping your prospects. But that's a bigger topic for a bigger time. We asked you all. We asked on the X machine, if you aren't following us at Blake Street Banter on the X, the Everything app, happening all the time, Twitter. What should we talk about? And we had a few good topics, so we're going to lean into it. I think the first one is about Hunter Goodman. This is from our boy Skyler. Love you, Skyler, but you're wrong again. His hot take. Let me make sure I read this correctly. But we're doing a data dump, so to speak, on Hunter Goodman and Mickey Moniak to begin this, and then we're going to get into the Arizona Fall League, and then we'll end it with the front office speak. But our guy Skyler, biggest take is still that Hunter Goodman will not reproduce this year. He's totally a 2.0. Nobody on the MLB roster right now deserves to be an all-star long term. I'm gonna disagree with the last part. Deserves to be an all-star long term. I think there are players. I think Tovar, when healthy, is an all-star caliber player. I think Hunter Goodman, we'll get into it. I think Hunter Goodman repeats his 25 campaign, or at least he doesn't dip like a Toglia. There might be some regression, but not like a Nolan Jones or Michael Toglia type regression. Explaining that here in a second. And I think Dollander has the stuff to be a future 1-2 ace where he is going to make all-star appearances.
Yeah, I agree with you across the board there. And I don't 100%. Like, I think when we get takes like this, it's hard to like find sort of where you line up on the scale. Like, 100% disagree, 100% agree, somewhere in the middle. I'm like more towards the disagree side. I think like you said, he's probably going to regress a little bit. So I don't know that he's going to hit 30 home runs next year, maybe. But I think there are tools. There's tools, obviously. Like, he's a monster. That dude has huge pop.
Country boy power.
Yeah. He's like a Big Ten linebacker, basically. He's like that archetype, which those dudes they wreck in college football. But anyway, the approach this year was like it was perfect for a guy who's not going to be a 330 on base guy. He wasn't too far off that, but for a guy who's really not going to be a 330 on base guy, you got to maximize the power. He had the approach to do just that. Like he wasn't trying to play above his means. He's aggressive. He does damage, and he did that as well as anyone in baseball. I'll go over to you after. Like I think Corey Seager. Like we think of Corey Seager. He's one of the best pure hitters in baseball. But ultimately, what makes him so good is the aggression. He's not a sit back and wait for his pitch guy. He's I'm going to make my pitch right now, like first pitch, early in the count type of guy. So I think Hunter Goodman is the real deal.
And on that point, I saw a tweet earlier about the Blue Jays. They swing often and early, and they put their damage on the first 2 or 3 pitches in that bat. And we see them striking out 36 times in a series against the Mariners, who have huge strikeout ability pitchers coming in, compared to what the Seattle Mariners are. I think it's like 100, 130 plus. And I don't know if that's the series or the postseason, but 36 times in either sense, it's probably a series, is absolutely insane. Like I would love a Colorado Rockies series, 3-game series, to have 36 strikeouts or less. That would be just insane. And so I think what like Hunter Goodman is attack early. I think there is a philosophy here that does work, and we kind of see it with some of the numbers. But first off, we got to say what's up to our boy Cade. Cade, how's it going? If you're not busy in the next like 10 minutes, do you want to help us recap the Arizona Fall League? If so, say yes, and I will send you a link to the StreamYard if you want to pop in, because we're going to talk about you and your boys down there with the Salt River Rafters here in a little bit. It'd be fun just to get your take if you're not doing anything. But Hunter Goodman, Hunter doubles or home runs. Yeah, exactly. Wild Innocent, thank you for joining us again. He has the pop. He does the damage when he's supposed to, right? He swings at 55% of the pitches. The league is at 49. What's nice about Hunter Goodman, where I don't think I really saw this trend with Michael Toglia, is these numbers have decreased over the last 2 professional seasons, right? It was down 3% from his 24 campaign. I also like to compare this to Riley Green. When you think of Riley Green, you think that's a professional hitter. Crazy swing and miss, weird, crazy uppercut that shouldn't work. But I think Riley Green is a 2-time All-Star, is going to be an All-Star, is going to get you 30 and 100 every single year in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark that is Comerica. Riley Green's swing percentage was 53%. Very similar, right? The outside of swing percentage for Hunter Goodman, this is something he needs to get a little bit better at, is at 38% where the league's at 30. However, again, it dropped 3% from last season. Riley Green, 33%. And then the whiff rate, 32% this year for Hunter Goodman. League's at 25, pretty high, but Riley Green's at 30%. Michael Toglia's 2024 is the biggest, craziest outlier that you can ever see in any player whatsoever. Like it is 6 to 10 points difference at every single like measurement across the board. Whiffs, swinging strikes, contact rate, outzone swing. None of it was what you would project it to be based on previous seasons. So what we saw for Michael Toglia in 2024 was very niche. Like it wasn't repeatable. Just how big of a difference it was between his 22 and 23 season to what his 24 season was. Hunter Goodman across the board is 3 to 4% better at all these aspects every single year from the seasons before. And I think just looking at that and just seeing as players keep progressing, you think they get into the kind of groove 3 or 4 or 5 seasons into it. And as long as that progression is getting there, you're going to see that plateau at a certain point. It's the ones where they don't progress, like Michael Toglia, kind of stays the same, and then just have this crazy-ass season where everything's just better across the board for whatever reason, and then you can't sustain that because it's insane. I'm sure Brenton Doyle's numbers are very similar. We can look at Nolan Jones's as well. Hunter Goodman isn't that far off of what you would expect a good player to be. And I think that's what it comes down to, where I just disagree with Skylar. The numbers are just screaming, hey, I'm going to be a little bit better every single season because this. And I don't know what else you're seeing in the numbers, but like the biggest piece of that is just the swing percentage, swing, outside the swing, and whiff percentage have all just gotten better. Still above league average, but they've gotten better, and he's still producing the way he is, which makes me believe that he's going to be fine in the long term.
Yeah, and I mean, I think important to differentiate from Tolia. And I want to jump into some things that he specifically is doing. Alluded at least to the first pitch swing percentage. He's swinging the first pitch at 46.8% of the time. The league average is 30%. And some people in a vacuum are going to be like, that's too aggressive. And in some ways, like, but if you're being measured in your aggression, and that is chances are I'm going to see a first pitch strike like 70% of the time, you're swinging at good, like maybe the best pitch you're going to see in the at bat. That's like, in my opinion, a green flag for somebody like him. Here's what I'm really sold on, though. Also, so his pulled fly ball percentage.
I love this stat.
It's at 25.4% of the time. League average is 16.7. It might be the best power hitting statistic at this point in Major League Baseball. Like, you need to look at exit velocity then too, but being able to pull the ball in the air, that is key. And he's 9% better than the league average. He also ranks, he's 11th in baseball in pull percentage. And again, it's sort of a vacuum thought, like people thinking about what makes a good hitter. You like, oh, you want to spray the ball all around. And in a vacuum, maybe, and some hitters it's going to work for them. The guys ahead of Hunter Goodman on the pull percentage leaderboard, the top three, Jose Altuve, didn't have an amazing season by his standards, but still really good.
Still,
These next two, though, take a guess, though, and think Hunter Goodman and think
Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber comes to mind, and probably some cat in Miami. But it's probably bigger. Vlad. I'm going to throw Vlad out there.
I mean, it is the biggest. It is the biggest. The big dumper. Schwarber and Raleigh are second and third in pull percentage. These are dudes with similar pure raw power to Hunter Goodman. I think Schwarber is like such a fun hitter. Like he understands everything so well. Hunter Goodman, here's another fun point to that. So Schwarber and Raleigh, they're second and third in the league in pull percentage. Hunter Goodman basically has the same hard hit percentage as Kyle Schwarber. It's higher than Cal Raleigh too. Like, we're looking at the mold to be a really successful power hitter in Major League Baseball. So there's going to be some swing and miss. There's going to be some over aggression, but you are looking at a guy who figured out the philosophy to be a power hitter, sacrificing some on base. Who cares if you hit 30 home runs? So.
Yeah. And I think that's where you're okay with it all, right? Like, his barrel rate's good. His sweet spot percentage is solid, all above league average or right around league average. And it's just gotten better every single year. He has a low poor contact rate as well, 58%. League's at 60. Green's at 57%. So, like, his decisions, there is some swing and miss, and there is some stuff that could be honed in there. But when he is making that contact, it's the good kind of contact. Kind of what we were talking about, like with Warming Bernabel a few data dumps a while ago. At that time, when we were looking at it, it was a lot of swing and miss, or slower swing, but it was decent contact. So I think Hunter Goodman just has that huge power that goes along with it. And you might have the numbers that back this up. I'm not quite sure. But when you look at a Hunter Goodman versus, again, Michael Tolio, we're only talking about Tolio because Skylar mentioned it in the tweet, is you never trusted Tolio to hit a off-speed pitch. Like, you just never thought, like, hey, you'll be fine on that 3-2 slider or that 0-2 slider. You can foul that off or something. Where Hunter Goodman, you kind of feel like, all right, he kind of gets the gist of it and batting. But I don't know. It just seems like Hunter Goodman has a feel for off-speed and fastball and how to make it a good at-bat all the way through.
Yeah, he's a lot better against like breaking balls and off speed than Tolio was. He's not great. I don't think any player is ever really gonna. I mean, some players are gonna be great. He's fine. He's doing just fine against them, and that is key. Also, like, you want to pull another fun stat: the top 5 in hard hit percentage in Major League Baseball. I think this is even better than the pull percentage. Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto. That might be the 4 best hitters in baseball right there. Hunter Goodman, 5th.
That's insane.
Dude's a tank. He is an absolute tank. And what was that? What else was I going to? I had another stat in my mind I was going to throw out, but oh yeah, it's because Wild the Innocent in chat. How did the home runs look home and away? He had more on the road. He had 18 on the road and 13 at home this season, and I think that confirms the idea that like he is a power hitter through and through. His approach works to just go hit bombs. Like he's going to sacrifice a lot. In some environments, he's going to sacrifice a lot, like hitting wise, but he's going to hit his bombs either way, and that's a steady tool.
We had our resident stat head, Isaac, create something looking at, because we were having a conversation in the BSB chat about what does Hunter Goodman look like as a DH versus a catcher, and then what does that look like on the road and away. And if you're looking at the screen, you can kind of see it. I'll tweet it out after this, so you all listen on the podcast forum while you're driving. Shout out to Brian, who's putting 2,000 miles a month on his work traveling. But it's interesting. Like I look at this and like, all right, we clearly he's better as a catcher at home. Like hitting 321, 950 OPS. We got 16 homers, and what's in parentheses is the 162 game thing. Like if you just played 162 games at Colorado, Dude Man's a 44 homer, 130 RBI guy with a 950 OPS. Give me that every single day, right? But what does that look like away? Still a respectable batter, right? 49 homers away, 118 RBIs, 818 OPS away. It's clear that Hunter Goodman loves to catch, and he's better when he catches. DH, what do you do with him on the road or away? You don't DH Hunter Goodman away. Like, just don't do it. He's going to hit 202. There's no power with that. Let the man either be behind the plate so he's seeing what the pitches are doing and being involved in the game, or don't. DH at home, respectable. I would have a 36 homer, 120 RBI season for my guy all the time. So, like, looking at those numbers, I thought was very interesting, especially when you look at the difference between the home and the away stuff. I don't know. I thought that was a fun little thing that Isaac was able to pull up. And sure, Hunter Goodman's a home field Coors merchant. Who gives a shit? He can still hold his own on the road as long as he's catching. So I think, again, looking at those, we didn't look at Michael Tolia's crazy numbers like that, but I think there's something there. Let me find it. There it is. I think there's something there where this is not a flash in the pan for Hunter Goodman.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, again, some regression maybe. Also, I want to clarify that I threw out the hard hit percentage. I guess it's a little bit different than StatCast hard hit percentage. Sports Info Solutions or Baseball Info Solutions, they're the ones that do DRS. Like they do a lot of video like data tracking. It's their hard percentage. I forget what the StatCast, like what makes it the hard hit percentage. Like if it's actual, I don't know, but Baseball Info Solutions, that is your top 5 hard hit percentage, is Hunter Goodman at 5, and probably the 4 best hitters in baseball above him. So yeah, not quite a flash in the pan. No. What he's going to be going forward, I don't know again if he's a perennial 30 home run guy, especially as a catcher where he's not going to get to play every day. So we'll see, but I think we got something there.
So to prove Skylar wrong, what does Hunter Goodman need to do in 2026 to not be Michael Tolia 2.0?
I mean, I think it's to go up there and be like cognizant that now teams are probably like early in the season. I bet the first pitches that he sees are going to be, their guys are going to be trying to throw their best pitch in the count, like trying to spin a breaking ball to grab the outside corner, something like that, like trying to throw a money pitch. I think he needs to like still try to swing at those a lot, but prove that he can still recognize that he's not set in just swinging. Like see the pitch a little bit more. Like that's not an easy thing to do, but go up there with the plan to swing, but not be fixed and stuck on doing that. Because another thing I found in 1-0 counts, which I'm sure the league average is really, really high. In 1-0 counts, his weighted on base average, which league average is around 300, In 1-0 counts, he was at 509. That's basically like 1,000 OPS. Unfortunately, Savant doesn't let you search for OPS for whatever reason, but his WOBA is 509 in 1-0 counts. I'm sure the league average there is like 350 to 400. So he's a dude that when he's ahead and he's able to continue being aggressive, like knowing you're more likely to get a strike in a 1-0 count than you even are first pitch. So I think that's sort of the idea is don't be afraid of a 1-0 count. Like be picky, but also be, have your get juiced in the 0-0 count, but just a little bit of patience can go a long way. I think that's basically what he did this year. So
yeah. How long till Hunter receives the title of the best Rockies catcher ever? If he just does, I think 80% of what he did next year, I think he officially has that title. I know he's up there on WAR. I know he's definitely top 5. I know the list isn't very good, but he might be top 3 already. I don't think it takes much longer for Hunter Goodman to be top 3 catcher ever.
Totally agree. Enough
of Hunter. Love Hunter. Shout out to a friend of the pod, Hunter Goodman. But let's get into Mickey Moniak. He's a fun one because he gets the left side versus the right side. He gets he's everything that we need him to be versus he's not who we want him to be. We don't need him on this team. He is going to arbitration. He will be arbitration eligible this year. He will go to court and try to get his money's worth. Is he worth it? This conversation was brought to us by I don't want to do them wrong. Give me just a second. This is Colorado Conservation, Conservative, Calio Support. Mickey Moniak just wants to talk about Mickey Moniak, and here we are. I know we've talked about Mickey Moniak a few times. He's got terrible home road, left-right splits. Do I want him to be the third outfielder with Doyle and Jordan Beck? I don't want 162 games of Mickey Moniak. I think the defense is a little tough. I know it's a negative DRS. I don't know what that number is. But looking at his numbers, last year in Los Angeles in 2024, just bad overall season for Mickey Moniak. But his 2023 numbers in Los Angeles were very similar to his numbers in Colorado. And so we kind of just talked about like who are these players? Who is Hunter Goodman? Who is Michael Tolia? Who is Mickey Moniak? I have no idea. There's no track record with Mickey Moniak. There's no progression. Every single year he gets a little bit better. He's honestly a roller coaster. There's a dip and a dive, and hopefully there's not a dodgeball coming because you don't know if he's going to miss it. Like here's let's look. Barrel percentage since 2022 with LA and Philadelphia. 7.9%, 2023, 12%, 2024, 9%, 2025, 13%. Do the same thing with his strikeout rates, do the same thing with his zone contact rate, do the same thing with whatever you want. It's an up and down roller coaster. I don't think we know who Mickey Moniak is. Am I mad if he's the fourth outfielder on this team and we use him at home against whoever he's better at? I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably not. I think you lean into the Coors Merchant. I believe that would be fine. You find somebody that can be in the outfield on the road, and you put Mickey Moniak at home. You're going to have a solid season. I think Mickey had 24 home runs this year, that's fun. That's fine. I don't know. I didn't feel good about Mickey Moniak, the player, when he came up to bat.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy that in the second half he was as good as he was, because first half it was like, all right, this guy's playable. He's probably a better option than Sam Hilliard. Does it really matter? But you always want to have the best players out there. And so it's like, okay, maybe they found a better fourth outfielder. But, the defense did really slide. And to your point, yeah, Coors Merchant. And my theory as to why that is because he crushed fastballs this year. He did. He had 15 homers against them, hit 308 against fastballs. My theory though is that at Coors Field, the fastballs they break less. Like you get less of that that induced vertical break to move up, like sort of the rising fastball. It does that a lot less at Coors Field. So he's not going to see those plus fastballs as often at Coors Field. Like it might still have the velocity, but it's not going to be as hard to read out of the hand, across the plate. That I think is the key for him, is that he hits like dampened fastballs, nerfed fastballs. And that's exactly what he did this year. So
Yeah.
he could be a guy who, goes back and hits another 20 homers at Coors Field, or almost, close to 20 homers at Coors Field. There needs to be a very defined role for him, though, especially because of the defense. Should be a platoon guy. He probably should fit in a platoon with, some right-handed bat. I don't know who that's going to be yet. We're a little shallow on good right-handed bats at the big league level. That is sort of the where he should land long term. I do like overall he improved this year. Like he looked a lot more comfortable, made a lot more contact. Also similar to Hunter Goodman, like he's doing a really good job pulling the ball in the air, and that's going to get you success kind of no matter what. But little bit suspect, overall offensively. Like he did have some streaks that were not good, but I think you got to roll him out there next season as like a guy who's going to play a lot. And maybe it becomes a little more platoon, playing like pattern long term, but he probably did earn that. Like, let's see what he can do. And another season, maybe he gets another jump, more improvement, because that could make him actually a good hitter.
Yeah, hopefully whoever gets hired is looking at all this stuff and seeing how we can best utilize these guys.
Yeah.
At the best situations and what they can be. Like, I don't know. Again, you see the Tigers have a huge different lineup every single day because this guy does a little bit better against that guy and can do that. Like they turned Javi Baez into an all-star center fielder this year in his age 45 season, however old Javi Baez is. But like you can find these roles, you can find these places to use these guys to the best of your ability by looking at these kind of things. And instead of just saying, yeah, it's a left-hander on the mound, all right, let's go. It's a left-hander with this kind of fastball at home. Let's put Mickey in the first 2 or 3 at bats, and then let's switch it out. Let's put in whoever is up next to get going against each other. I think some of those next level thinking from the manager, whoever that is, and then data nerds that get hired, like that stuff kind of happens. I hope for the best for Mickey. Like I'm never rooting against somebody when we're looking at this, just looking at the numbers specifically. It's a little scary. I don't think he's a full-time outfielder. I don't know how many games he played. 135 last year. I don't think I won 135. Mickey Moniak is not a 135 game player on a contender. And that's where I think we need to start changing our mindset, changing the culture. Like, all right, if we're going to go win games, we got to have the best players possible all the time. So that's where we're at. Mickey Moniak, controversial, I guess. Tyler, I'm going to let you recap the Arizona Fall League. I got to go do something real quick.
All right.
And then I'll be back for the front office. Sorry.
Yeah, so no, you're good. So yeah, Fall League stuff has been interesting to start. I don't know that there's been any stellar performances to this point. There was a game, though. Jared Thomas and Charlie Condon, they hit a grand slam in the same game. That doesn't happen very often. And the Fall League generally isn't like there's not a lot of home runs hit in the Fall League. Like a lot of guys will be happy to have 2-3 homers. You get a little bit inconsistent playing time. It's hard to get that rhythm. But Charlie Condon, he's doing all right. He's working his walks. He's not striking out a lot, and I think that is promising. But have not seen the power shine through a ton. 758 OPS so far. Some other guys on the team are raking, and so would like to see Condon do a little bit more. We talked earlier in the offseason that if Condon gets into the Fall League and plays, out of his mind, he's set up for a 2026 opening day roster spot. Like it's the Fall League. It doesn't mean that much, but it's an opportunity for him to prove that the development he made this year is legit. So we're looking for a little bit more this the next half of the season. I think they're about a quarter of the way through it. So he's got time to continue to produce. Jared Thomas, he's done well, like bat to the ball. Like the contact's been good. He struck out 11 times though to just 1 walk. And so that's a little bit of a flag. I think he's trying to be aggressive, go out there and take advantage of pitches. He has a very good gap to gap bat. And so that's what he's clearly trying to prioritize. Braylon Wimmer has gotten a fair amount of playing time. He's played in 9 games. of the 10 that the Salt River Raptors have played. Doing all right. He has a 389 on base percentage at least, but have not seen a whole lot of impact yet. He does not have an extra base hit. The pitching side, a few more pitchers for Colorado, including Wellington Herrera, maybe the top relief prospect in the system, Jack Mahoney, Austin Smith, who was the return for Tyler Kinley this past season. Ben Shields is now on the roster. He was part of the Ryan McMahon, he was part of the Ryan McMahon return. Am I? No, he was the Jake Bird return. Those two trades were a little confusing. Same team, you get 4 prospects. I believe though that he replaced actually Cade Denton on the roster, and I know Cade was in the chat earlier. Was hoping we could get a little bit of light on that. The roster does not show Cade Denton right now, but it does show Ben Shields, who seems to be a very recent add, has not pitched yet. Otherwise, with the pitching side of things, Wellington Herrera is doing his thing. He's got 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Command has been a little off, and a lot of guys go into the fall league, and their feels a little bit off. Some guys, they're either on or they're off, and there's not a whole lot of in between. So Herrera, the walks have been there. He's walked 6, but guys just still can't hit him. Jack Mahoney, the only true starting pitcher that's in the fall league right now. He has 2 games, 1 start, up to 5 innings with 5 strikeouts. So he's doing some work. And okay, that's good to hear, Cade. I was looking this morning and I was like, I could have sworn Cade Denton was on the fall league roster, like the website. Oh no, never mind. You're there. Never mind. That's my bad. But Ben Shields is on that roster and has not pitched yet. So I was thinking for a sec that there was a replacement there. But good to hear that you're still balling, Cade. You got the 8 strikeouts in 6 innings. We love to see that. So, pitching side, we're looking for Shields to get in a game. Austin Smith looked insane down the stretch for the Rockies post trade. He struggled with command a little bit too. So, looking to see him get back on track. I think I just whipped around it, Aaron.
There we go. Cade Denton's still hanging out, still on the roster, it looks like.
This morning I was like, I was a little bit out of it. It was like I didn't remember Ben Shields being on the team, and he hasn't pitched. Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, oh, he must have just been added to the roster. But I think there's a couple guys who also haven't pitched on the team. So
there's been a lot of movement, just names moving on and off of it. Arizona Fall League, it's always, you take it with a grain of salt. Everybody's working on something. Everybody's rehabbing from something. A little bit of this or a little bit of that. Like, success doesn't always mean greatness of injustice, for example. It just, you take it with a grain of salt and just assume somebody's working on something and those numbers are why they are what they are. Just players just doing their thing. We do have some players down playing winter ball. I know Victor Juarez is playing in the Mexican Winter League. I know there's a few more Latin players that are back somewhere in the Dominican Republic and Mexico. I think even one in the Venezuela League. So maybe later this offseason, we'll catch you all up with the Winter League stuff as well. Let's get to the fun stuff. The reason everybody's in here 34 minutes in. The front office. We have some news since the last time we talked. I don't know if you want to talk about the 3 guys that have been named, but we understand that they don't know what position they're hiring for. Tyler can speak on that a little bit, but the second round of interviews are happening now. I think we expect an announcement to be made Friday or Monday, hopefully soon, because you're starting to see coaches being hired. Again, Vitello out in San Francisco. Albert Pujols is officially not the Angels manager, but the Padres are still interested in Albert Pujols. So you're getting these managers signed, and you can only do that when you have the person in charge ready to go. So hopefully that isn't taking too much longer. And then we all know free agent stuff, all that kind of fun stuff, offseason stuff starts 2 days after the World Series has ended. So when the Dodgers win it in about a week, we can all just move on with our lives and get ready for the 2026 season. I guess enlighten us first, Tyler, if you want to talk about who they are and what they are and anything like that. And then I guess we can kind of share our frustrations, concerns with the front office, if we have any.
Yeah, I guess to quickly talk on the 3 known candidates. I will say that was reported the day before there was supposed to be a 4th initial interview. So I think a 4th one happened. I don't, that was planned. It was certainly planned. I don't know who it would have been because they reported 3 before the 4th one happened. But the 3 candidates that were reported, it was James Click. Scott Sharp with the Royals, and I think it's Matt Foreman with the Guardians. So a pretty good mix of guys so far. Click, notably the general manager of the Houston Astros, I think he took over in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. He was there for one World Series win. I mean, he was in the front office to kind of build them up the entire time. Weird circumstances that he left the Houston Astros. It seemed like there was just a disagreement with ownership on, how to approach things. I think you could think of some Colorado Rockies scenarios where ownership is just not super thrilled with a guy. Their philosophy, maybe how aggressive they're being, not wanting to sign a player, not wanting to trade a player, something along those lines. Yep. It's unclear as to what happened, but he was fired literally moments after a World Series. Some of that might have had to do with a contract that they weren't bought in on him completely, but it's like, I just won a World Series, give me my money, and that didn't happen. So
maybe he was a ride or die for Carlos Correa, and that's just where Jim Crane was like, "Nah, I'm good. I want Correa out."
It's like it could have been something like that where they're like, "All right, I don't know if we can give this guy the money that he wants." But James Click, he was a finalist for the Red Sox job last year. They ended up hiring Craig Breslow. Red Sox seemed to have made a good choice there. But James Click, he actually pulled his name out before. Maybe he knew the writing was on the wall, but he actually withdrew his name from that job search. So he might have been the Red Sox president. They don't have a GM right now. They have a president of baseball. We'll talk about that just in a sec. So I like Click. He has the experience. He's current with the Blue Jays. Wild the Innocent asked if that's going to delay the process, and it won't. Like, these front office guys at this point in time, there's not a ton that they get to do day to day. His title is VP of MLB strategy, baseball strategy. A lot of that has to do more with transactions than it does, advanced scouting. I'm sure he's involved, but he can go interview it at any time. I don't think that that's interfering with anything. But the other 2 candidates, Scott Sharp, he's been with the Royals for, I think it's 18 years or so. He's been in the assistant GM role for a handful of those. Royals have, they went from after their World Series win, it was kind of it going into the tank. The last couple of years, they've come back a bit. They've resurged. Sharp has been at the front of that, and he was a finalist for the Nationals vacancy that they just hired for 3 weeks ago. So Scott Sharp, clearly someone in demand. I don't know that that'd be the flashy hire. I think he'd be a very steady, doing the right things. Maybe not as creative as some of these other guys could be. Like James Click is known for being extremely analytical, very creative. Came through with the Rays, and then the third known candidate, Matt Foreman, very interesting candidate because he actually used to be a writer for Baseball America. That's where he kind of started. Flips into the Guardians front office right after graduating college. 4 years later, he is an assistant general manager. It took him 4 years to basically climb as high as you can. Of course, there's a position after that, but you're not just going to get promoted to GM or something because you need a vacancy. So Matt Foreman has absolutely flown through the industry. He's with Cleveland, who they're one of the teams I'm more fond of in how they operate. They make a lot with little. They've done always a very good job scouting pitching and developing pitching. I don't know exactly where his specialties lie. I assume a little bit more on the scouting and the player development side since he started with Baseball America. But those are the 3 that we know now. I don't know who I would prefer of the group. I think there's some definite pros and cons everywhere. We also don't know who this 4th person is. We don't know if there's a 5th person. I think it's 4, though. I think there's 4 guys. That list has likely internally been reduced to 2, and they're going to conduct those final interviews here this week. And you mentioned the possible timeline.
What do you think the opening question of interview 2 is? to like I always wondered. I mean, like, what is the second interview like? All right, you kind of did what you did and blah blah blah. Like, does James Click need to have a presentation ready to go, like how he's going to attack the draft in 2026, or is it, hey, how would you deal with internal rifts in the front office with, like, you disagree with Mr. Dick Monfort? How do you think you would handle that? Would you involve Walker? How would you go about that? I would love to be a fly on the wall for that second interview, just to see what that is.
I mean, I imagine the first interview is probably more something like an hour. It's a lot more about just getting to actually know these people, how they think. Are you someone that will get along with? I think it's a lot more of the personal side. Understand their background, their experience. That's going to get you into, like, what they want to do, what they bring to the table. I think the second interview, maybe to your point, it might be a couple hours breaking down. Here is my plan. Like, this is what's going wrong right now. This is what I want to change. A lot of stuff like that. I imagine that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a pretty beefy interview. And so I think we're going to express some, I think you may be a little bit more so express some frustrations. I think this interview round probably does take a little bit of time because you probably have to get yourself very ready for a day-long type of event. Like, they're probably going to have a break. At some point, there's probably going to be a break in this interview. And I don't think any of us have really gone through an interview before where there is a break built in. This is like you're making a huge decision. The Rockies are, so it's going to take time.
This is a day in the life of the Colorado Rockies GM or president of baseball operations, whatever it is. So if you are in Denver and you want to do some dirty work for us, just go hang out in Montfort Square and see over the next 2 or 3 days. I'm sure they're having breakfast at below in the hotel. One of them's, they're housed in the hotel there. Just keep an eye out. Give yourself some space so you can't be seen. And just see who's showing up and see if you're seeing James Click or, Sharp or Foreman. Just let us know. See what's going on. I don't know. It'll be kind of fun. I don't want to get into it. Like, Burge, thank you for hanging out with us. Of the candidates mentioned, I think James Click would be the choice. I don't really want to get into that. I personally don't like that conversation, that kind of discourse, so I don't really want to have it. So I think listening to you, Tyler, there, just giving us a little background of it all is good enough for me. I know you taught me a little bit about him. As far as am I mad, where do I sit with the Colorado Rockies hiring something? I feel good. I feel better, right? I think I sent you a DM like, hey, I think I kind of like what Walker's doing. So far, so good. Even though I don't think he's officially on the job yet. I think he doesn't start until the new year. Starts when his new contract is up. So we'll see. Everything feels good right now. I don't like the timeline of it. I said it 2 weeks ago whenever we last got on here. I don't like the timeline. I think all of this should have happened 2-3 weeks before. Day one of the offseason for the Colorado Rockies should have been these kind of interviews, that kind of thing. That's my frustration. That doesn't change any of this. The fact that we're actually getting reports of names, the fact that we're getting some information is a good thing. They're not holding it to the chest. They're not like, oh, we'll just wait and see. We'll break the news later whenever you want. But there seems to be a timeline, and that timeline is being shared with us, which makes me feel a little bit better. It was one of the things I just wanted was transparency, and it feels like we're getting a little bit about that. So I think it is what it is. I don't know. I really like what else I heard is that they're also going to hire a chief revenue strategy officer, which is going to combine with this new hire. And so we're adding more to the front office, right? We're bringing in a new blood. We're bringing in a new hire to make this money come with revenue. And then how do we use that revenue correctly, whether it's in the analytics department, the draft and development department, a cool pitching machine to help us away. Like, I don't know. It's those kind of things. Everything coming from camp is great so far. When it gets time to show your cards and prove that you have done it correctly, we'll see how that goes. But right now, if I don't have hope, what do I have? I'm living on the hope. So I think I'm okay right now. A little bit more on the K side than the O side. I'm feeling all right. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the transparency a little bit. I think, yeah, they put themselves behind the ball by waiting, not even just till the very end of the season, but then another day even. And from what was swirling, they hadn't actually started the process that much until yes, Bill Schmidt resigns his slashes, just Bill Schmidt's gone. That's really when the process like got intensive, and that was a couple weeks too late. To your point. I like what Walker is doing now in these circumstances. I don't think he's fully like in control of everything yet, but we're seeing some steps to in the right direction. So can't complain too much about that. The hire should have been made already though. I know that is again though requires like full hindsight going back prior to the end of the season. That this is a 3-week, 4-week, 5-week process. They can't rush that, and I don't want them to. Like this should be a decision that they make extremely seriously. So far, I like what we're seeing given the circumstances. I'm excited. Either way, all the 3 candidates we've seen, these are people who have been interviewed for other jobs. They bring clear value to the table, so I'm liking it.
Yeah, and I think this is Wild Innocent sharing. I believe Walker has stated that he's sharing the title till Greg Fiesel is done. That would make sense. Hey, we're Fiesel kind of guiding the Walker, so to speak, to the transition line at the beginning of the calendar year. So that'll be good. Taylor, let us know what you see. I mean, you're already doing the dirty work for us. Taylor is reporting officially on BSB. You heard it here first that there were 5 to 6 colorful Ferraris parked outside the Rally House Valet yesterday. KB is having a car show, and he's trying to show off his stuff in front of the Rally Hotel. Or the Colorado Rockies are maybe renting out KB's Ferraris to show the interviewees a good time. You can take that for what it is. I don't know. I think it would be really. I hope my GM or president of baseball operations is not driving a colorful Ferrari. I want that man to be driving a nice little Prius, maybe even a minivan, a Chrysler Pacifica, with a murdered out Pacifica. I don't want my guy flashing. I want a low key grinding, keep me out of the spotlight. Let me just do the thing in the background type of personality. So let me know, Taylor, if you see like a Prius or a minivan hanging out a few days in a row. And I think that's where we need to kind of lean into it.
I think you might have just revealed to listeners what cars you and your family have. That you got a Prius and you got a Pacifica in the garage. A lot of utility there. You get your efficiency and you get your space. So,
hey, when you're running 4 deep, you need the space. You need to get around. You got to get around efficiently. We got hockey tonight. I need room for all the hockey gear. So with the stroller. So we're living that minivan life. And honestly, I'm going to be driving a minivan forever, and that's okay. And I want to be able to relate to my new GM in that sense. But like, I guess, what is the first move of this new hires? What has to be the first move? Like, are we gutting everything? Do we need to hear that Warren Schaefer is keeping his job or he's being reassigned? Are we hoping that he cuts KB and is just eating that contract? Are we hoping that he has added a few washers and dryers to the analytics department? Like, I guess what is it that we're going to feel good about when we have a new president of baseball ops or a GM coming into play?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that actually what you're saying is the place to start. Like, we got to see what the title is. And the Nationals hired a assistant general manager to a president of baseball ops role. And so that might be what happens. They're going to make a decision on this title, and it actually does have some pretty big ramifications, because when you're hiring in the baseball industry, in order to get permission, the opportunity to hire somebody, you have to offer a promotion. So you can't promote
that makes sense.
some guys to GM because they might already have that role. president of baseball operations is like there's only a handful of guys across the league that you wouldn't be able to hire to that role because not every team has one. So we'll see what title that is. That'll also maybe come with a little bit more influence. Like if you're the president of baseball operations, that's in some ways a role that Dick Monfort like held de facto, like just sort of an overseer, like getting that influence. An actual president of baseball ops, I think that would mean, hey, this is the guy, this is the voice, and they would get to hire a general manager underneath them, most likely.
Right.
Either way, I think that'll be the first move is get a couple guys underneath him that he can rely on because he's going to have to keep most people actually in place. I don't know if there might be anyone who's like a director type of guy. They might say, okay, look, we need someone else leading these departments, but they're going to keep a lot of people in place because it'd be hard to build a whole new staff, especially now being a little bit later to the party. So that's the first move I'm looking for is bringing in an assistant general manager or 2 or 3. That's probably going to be one of the first things that happens. And then, let's no, I don't want to advocate for KB to get cut because it's not going to happen. It would almost be a personal move to do that. But looking for them to just start assembling a staff, that's going to be very exciting because those are positions that are almost as important as the true like leadership, the general manager
100%.
or the president of baseball ops. These are the guys who are gonna guide some decisions. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. And I think they need to keep KB on the books just in case there is a salary cap, which means there's going to be a salary floor. So that helps kind of cover that floor piece a little bit. Burge in the chat, job 1, formulating the pitching development strategy. Who do you keep from the old regimen who have been working on the process and who you hire from the outside? I don't think that's a direct question to us, but an intrinsic question for the new GM or POBO to do. Yeah, I think you have to, honestly, they did an audit in this past season. You audit yourself. Like, what does each role do? What is each person given to this organization? Are they worth keeping on? Or is it time to ask them to resign, whatever that is? I think you have to like literally comb through everybody that's involved all the way through. The culture's toxic. Whatever that culture is, it needs to be changed. And some people might need to lose their job because of it. And I think that's just part of the program. That's just what it is. I don't know. But I think I agree with you. Making sound hires, having your guys come into place and ready to go with like distrusted in the industry all the way around that you're like, yeah, I can give this task to this assistant GM and I'm going to feel good about it and go from there. I think really getting those systems in place. So again, not a lot happening. We're still kind of on the waiting. Again, hopefully this time next week, we're finding time to communicate about the GM and what has been done. And we kind of go from there. I don't know. Until that kind of begins, I don't know what the offseason holds. I know we've got to think about qualifying offers, got to think about free agents, got to think about arbitration, Rule 5 draft, all that kind of stuff. So maybe we start getting into that in November and December. But I think the winter meetings is usually when all that hits. So we'll kind of wait for all that. I don't know. I don't really have anything else for the good of the cause, Tyler, unless you want to add something somewhere.
We did this last time, or 2 pods ago, like our panic pod before the Bill Schmidt announcement came, sort of like, hey, there needs to be urgency here. It's possible that if the Dodgers dodger, that the World Series ends on October 28th, a week from tomorrow. So that would be game 4. I don't think it's going to be a 4-game World Series. Who knows? If it goes 7, though, here's the thing. If it goes 7 games, that's only November 1st. That is a week from this coming Saturday. So timing is getting a little bit like the hire needs to be in place before the end of the World Series because things start pretty much right away. And that lines up. We're saying this Friday, like maybe like Monday or Tuesday has to be the latest day that it happens. Because in that event, you're probably still going to have 2 or 3 days before the end of the World Series. Not a lot of time, but whoever they hire has already been thinking through a lot of this stuff. So it's not going to be like a traditional first day on the job. Like, what am I doing? I got to get familiar with everything. Part of this interview process is like, show us that you are already like familiar with everything that we have. So, but it needs to happen by Tuesday next week at the absolute latest. If not, I think there's a reason for fans to be like, what are we doing? So that's my last bit for the good of the cause.
Yeah, I like that. The deadline, it has to be done by next Monday. I really think it has to be done by the 27th. And it needs to be announced like early. It needs to be before noon Eastern time. It has to happen. The time's running out, and then we're just scrambling this season instead of having a good plan in place for this season. So we'll see. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Don't know when content is coming. We're all kind of taking the off-season laissez-faire. We're still working on our BSB top 50 products to be pushed out. We are slowly working on them. But again, we're all in our own little worlds trying to keep up with stuff. And this is just a fun little passion project. And can thank you for continuing to listen to us, continue to grow with us. We're almost at 400 subscribers on YouTube, which is just insane. Like that people are even subscribing to us at all. It's just crazy. So thank you for all the support all the way through it. And we'll continue to do the best and have the most fun that we can do when doing this. As always, go Rocks and the Minor League affiliates. Woo!